See, folks, this is a highly put together operation here. So
glad somebody knows what we're doing.
Can you tell me who that is?
Yeah. What is?
We're good. We got two different angles. I love it. So,
Yeah.
Ben,
Hey,
pleasure.
what's up, Matt? It's
Long
really good
time.
to see you again.
Been about a year, isn't it? Something like that.
I think it has. Yeah.
Been a little over a year since I cracked my ribs at their level 3 training, just FYI, on the sand, and they knew it as soon as I did it. So,
Hey, that Advil really
kicked in, man.
fixed the
Hey,
problem,
I
right?
finished it. By the way, I finished. So,
I hate
anyways,
to fight this guy. He just doesn't.
so well, thanks for stopping, folks. We're at the MOA. Had to wear the hat, so we're at the 50th anniversary. Ben's doing. You got all kinds of training going on this week, right?
Yeah, it's very freeform though. It's not like our typical training where we have our curriculum that we need to follow. It's I'm engaged to be on the adventure track. I come in a couple days early, help create it.
Cool.
Diabolically, and
which he did a great job. You'll see some footage of that.
And yeah, we come in, build a course, and then the BMW Performance Center guys are doing more formal training in the mornings.
Right.
Then in the afternoon, we open up the course for any and all comers, and we have a little bit of discussion. You know, discuss the four cornerstones of adventure riding according to D.A.R.T: balance, control, judgment, and attitude.
Yeah. And
then I let people run through the whole course, different elements, and I just kind of, hey man, I noticed you were stalling a little bit. Let me show you some clutch work, or, you know, I can really help you crank your turns a little bit tighter. And it's just very, it's not as rigid and.
Yeah, it's you're there to help get some guidance and to help people, right? Because as we all know, the adventure world has just blown up, right? I mean, so this is going to dovetail into some of the questions that I have for you. So with the adventure world taking on, I mean, you guys started this with your dad, right? I mean, in the whole team, you and the family. How long ago was that when you guys first started the D.A.R.T? Like, how long?
So Dad started it, I believe, either 2011 or 2012.
All right, so but think about 10 years, roughly, a little over 10 years, right? Imagine, like, how much it's grown. Like, I see your guys' classes, and folks, I will put links in the descriptions and everything below for the D.A.R.T training, but they're packed. I mean, when I was there last year and you guys let me film day 2, it's like almost to the point overwhelming. Now, granted, folks, don't be alarmed. They have multiple trainers at these sessions. So, I mean, and they have a world-class group of guys and gals that do all this stuff. But I would say that it's amazing probably for your dad and yourself to see from roughly 2012 to what is today.
Even whenever I started, you know, Dad started it back then.
Right.
I only came into this.
And that's the big question for me. Is like, when did you get locked into this?
So 2018, Dad had been on me ever since he started adventure riding. He's like, Ben, you got to try this. You got to come out. You know, I got a bike.
Now, did you ride? I mean, I'm assuming you rode.
Well, yeah, I grew up. We rode off and on. I started when I was 4 years old. Then we stopped when I was about 6. Started again when I was 12 or 13. Did that until about 15, 16. And that was my off-road experience.
Up until then?
Up until about 2018, yeah.
Wow, so so I've only been doing this for a couple years. So you've only been doing it maybe five, almost 6 years now?
Yeah, about 5 years.
Damn. And folks, he just missed the trophy team, right? By a couple points or whatever it was.
I was 4th place in the West Coast qualifiers, and 1 and 2 from the West Coast were a couple of the guys. That was it was Corey, Ben, and I'm gonna get in trouble. Please put the name of the other guy under this.
We'll help him out a bit.
I'm so sorry.
So that tells you, folks, that now, granted, he's got some good genes to go along with to do this, but 5 years, I mean, he has worked himself hard to get to that level, because the stuff that you guys do, if you guys have ever seen the trophy qualifier stuff, the stuff you have to go through and be able to accomplish, I mean, it's very technical. and both mental. We talked a little bit about this last night. We all sat around last night. The mental side is just as much as the technical, physical side, to a certain degree, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to dovetail off of that.
It really is, and ultimately, the basics, the fundamentals are what enables success in those really technical aspects. And that's where I've had a major benefit, is being able to do demos, instruct other people, look at the flaws and try and tighten their game up. That really helps me. I learn a lot by teaching. And so yeah, that's a big component of it. But then there is the social aspect of it, or the pressure of having an audience. And early on, whenever I was kind of nervous about performing in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine said, Ben, how many demos do you do in front of an audience? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, there's a little bit of stress inoculation there. So
yeah,
that has really helped. And it's a really fun event. I enjoy competing in general.
Right.
So
no, I know you're definitely like to crank it up when you get to like competition stuff going on. So let's go back to 2018. Basically, you got back into this, right? Or you started your journey with your dad and with everything, or was this just your journey back to actually riding adventure wise?
Basically, how that aspect of it started, I went out. I got a loaner bike. Somebody loaned me a smaller GS, like a 700 or 650 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Smaller GS, and I went out and I took, I think, one day or a partial day of his class and enjoyed it. I felt like I did pretty good for being just absolutely new to this. And right there, I was like, okay, I need to kind of hammer down on this. And at that point, I was building up an old rat bike, kind of a scrambler. It was a 1980 Honda CX 500.
Wow.
And it was time for me to put tires on. I was like, I'm going to put some big knobby tires on it. That was my first adventure bike. Do not recommend. That's basically, it was the Honda Silverwing. It was the baby Goldwing. So originally it had fairings and luggage, and
so you took a cruiser or whatever and made it into an adventure
for a very short time.
A Frankenstein bike.
Yeah, and I realized very quickly this isn't really going to cut the mustard. So yeah, I just did everything I could. Started helping out as a scout, learning. The poor coaches had to deal with me. Ben, shut up. I'm like, yeah, okay, hey, I'll shut up. Hey, it just didn't take. And finally they're like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And I had a lot of good mentors to help me figure out what the heck I was doing.
Oh my God, that's great. So obviously in 2018, so when did you like fully get immersed with, is that also kind of when your journey started with D.A.R.T? And so for you guys have what's it's a scout, right? And then then you're like a trainer type of thing, or how's that work with you guys?
So
because I met some of those guys, when we were when I was at your training last year.
Typically the way we kind of fill the ranks is we identify students that are not only proficient riders,
right?
But there has to be a personality dynamic there. Dad.
Oh, absolutely.
My dad he says, I'm okay at a lot of things, but the thing that I'm best at is recognizing talent.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely agree with that. And then he will engage those people as a scout. And a scout is somebody who comes and you help pick up bikes, you help set cones. You're basically just there to assist, and that's what helps keep our student ratio, as you mentioned, down to, it's typically a 1-to-3 to 1-to-4 student to staff ratio, which is really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Then after they get some reps in, they learn a bunch just by watching and observing. And I'll always make sure that if I have the opportunity, my scout can stand next to me, and I'm like, okay, here's what we're looking at.
Teaching moments.
Yeah. And it's teaching the teacher. And the next step of that, which we're due to have another run of this, is that actually has a very thorough curriculum. It's basically a day of book work, and then at least a day or two of going out and running the drills. You're setting it up yourself. You're coaching the other potential coaches,
right?
And then you go through that. You stop. Everybody breaks everything down. It's just absolutely hammering down on the details and the nuance, the nomenclature, all of that stuff of how
So your dad,
our instructor
but
coaches.
but I mean, it's the right way, right? Because again, you don't want people out here just saying, "Hey, I'll coach you," and they don't teach right techniques, or they don't. There's a process to all this stuff, right? And I do give your dad credit, because it's funny, because I was going to ask this question too. Is like, I think your dad's kind of like the godfather of kind of this stuff, right? Like he's like you've got him over here, and it could be, whatever you want to say on the women's side, maybe Jocelyn or some folks like that. They're like the
Sal Marie Wilson.
Shal Marie Will, like these folks are like the like up here type of thing. I even throw a little, Tom Asher, and I give Tom a hard time too. But I sit there and go, all right, so in the Godfather family, since he's the Godfather, are you Sonny, Michael, or Fredo? I have my opinion, but
I'm just a capo.
no, that's what I'm saying. But see, I think you're kind of like Michael and Sonny combined, because you got that fire of Sonny Corleone that goes out there and wants to rip it apart. But you also have that thoughtful piece of Michael Corleone where you're very tactical about how you do it.
I try to just be Ben True, man.
I had to get that in, folks. That's my part, okay? So you guys, okay, so you went through all this stuff. You became, did the scout. Your dad put you through the rigors, and I'm sure he was harder on you, probably, maybe a little bit more than others.
No, not a bit.
None whatsoever. No, hey, Bill, it's all good. He's getting all his therapy out right here. So now, like, I know you still do it, at the Oklahoma facility. So, but are you like kind of venturing out a little bit, or are you just still a part underneath the D.A.R.T and doing your own thing? Because I see you doing a lot of stuff like on your own at a lot of different festivals. Or is this more your dad's focused on like the core in Oklahoma, that stuff? And I know he goes out and does other things and stuff. But is your role is to get out there and spread the word for D.A.R.T and to do rallies and stuff like this?
Yeah, I've kind of that's one of the things I'm really focusing on. Is there are so many events popping up
Oh
in the
yeah.
country, and there is a need and a desire for really good quality training. I
Right.
love to travel, I love to coach, I love to camp and hang out with people. So it's kind of a natural progression. I still do every single class that I can in Oklahoma.
Right.
In fact, this past weekend is the first class I think I've missed in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, paid or
That's
unpaid, I just really try
yeah,
to
but
get out
that's
there.
I mean, I have to commend you for that, because folks, if you do adventure travel or any of this other stuff, you need, I mean, you all know, to get to these places, I mean, you're putting some serious miles on every week. Like you're hauling, like you're hauling butt to get to places. Do a weekend thing and then try to get back to Oklahoma. And now, granted, you're a little bit lucky because you're in Oklahoma, so it's kind of like center
Very center
of the world, right? So you can fan out to different parts of the country, and it doesn't take you 2 or 3 days to get someplace.
Right.
It may take a day and a half, to get to places. But I think that's awesome that you guys are doing it. And I agree with you. I mean, I've seen you guys, I've been, like I said, only a couple of years, but you've been at Whale and Wayne every year for, the Chads and now it's the MOA's event, Whale and Wayne, but you guys have been there doing your stuff.
We field teams to the MOA. I do Touratech's Dirt Days in New Hampshire. I'll be doing that in August. We're doing some events with Grit Motorcycle Ranch, which is a brand new motorcycle facility in Utah somewhere, not Salt Lake, but anyways, in Utah. And yeah, just really trying. In the past, we've done all of the Overland Expos, the training at Overland Expos, and that's really what I'm trying to do. Is
we've been to March Motor Madness.
We've had Zeke.
Zeke was at March Motor Madness, and then you guys, and are you guys doing the Get On Fest, the Adventure Fest thing?
I do not believe we have a team.
No, you don't. Okay, all right, I'll cut that out.
No, it's okay.
So
we can't be everywhere.
Can't be everywhere. No, but you guys do what I've seen, and then you guys also have partnered in the past though with like 38 Moto and stuff like that.
For immersion tours, a lot of tour.
That's what it is. The immersion tour thing you guys have done too.
Yeah, I partnered with JJ Lewis with the Good Adventure.
Oh, there, JJ, we all know about you.
Yes, we do. We've had some wonderful trips, both around the Four Corners area, southern Colorado,
right? Yeah,
Utah area, And then I've gone down to Copper Canyon with him on 3 different tours at this point. We've also worked with Moto Discovery, doing immersion training,
Yeah.
and West 38 Moto, Dusty Wessels.
God.
So it's kind of, you know, D.A.R.T at this point does not run tours ourselves, but we partner with established tour companies that they've got their niche. We just come in and run support and help train. And those are wonderful opportunities, because we start off with a little bit of basic training that's very specific to the routes that we're taking. And then throughout the ride, find a challenging section. Okay, we're going to work this a couple times, and it's just a really good way to kill 2 birds.
And I think me as a rider for myself, I am more of the learn in the environment type of person. So those type of immersion type of things are more, at least for me, are more geared. You know, some people like the class work and stuff like that. I get so bent out of shape in the class, as you well know. I have a terrible time looking and stuff like that, as you guys will see some of the video. But I like the real world immersion stuff to learn how to tackle the terrain and stuff like that. So I think those are invaluable. Now I know that cost wise, sometimes it can be a little bit, but folks, so everybody always wants to complain about cost. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off here. You're paying for a tour. You're paying for people's time, effort, talent, and the experience and what you get out of it is well worth the investment. And I call it an investment because if you really want to go do adventure riding, if you really want to get into what this ADV community is about, and you really want to push yourself, the only way to do that is through training, and I always say, multiple training.
Absolutely.
All the time. Like my goal every year is at least do 1 training class per year minimum, because to me, I don't care how good of a rider you are.